Inter Milan weathered a ferocious storm from Bayern Munich right at the heart of the San Siro, keeping their Champions League hopes burning bright. It was a nerve-wracking, edge-of-your-seat showdown that stayed tense until the final whistle. Under the guidance of head coach Simone Inzaghi, Inter held the mighty Bavarians to a draw in the second leg of the quarterfinals, sealing their spot in the semifinals with a razor-thin aggregate advantage of just 1 goal. Despite facing relentless pressure from the visitors throughout the second half, Inter showed the composure and grit of a true title contender, standing firm until the very end. The Nerazzurri now look ahead to even tougher tests as they chase the glory of their legendary 2010 treble-winning season under José Mourinho. San Siro played host to a heavyweight rematch between two European giants, Inter Milan and Bayern Munich. After snatching a 2-1 victory at the Allianz Arena in the first leg, Inter entered the return leg with a solid advantage and a clear shot at reaching the Champions League semi-finals for the second time in 3 years, where Barcelona. The hero from the first leg, none other than Davide Fratesi, who delivered the match winner in the 88th minute, just moments after Thomas Müller had drawn Bayern level. It was a textbook counterattack, restoring Inter's edge and extending their unbeaten run to 12 matches across all competitions, including 5 straight wins in the Champions League, their best form since the iconic 2009-2010 campaign. Inzaghi smartly rotated his squad in the weekend clash with Cagliari, resting key players like Thuram, Bastoni, and Mkhitaryan. The lineup for the second leg was nearly identical to the first, with the only change being Federico Di Marco reclaiming his spot on the left flank in place of Carlos Augusto. Up front, Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram led the line, supported by a familiar midfield trio of Barella, Calhanoglu, and Mkhitaryan. On the other side, Vincent Kompany's Bayern arrived at the San Siro with inconsistent form and a growing injury list. Alphonso Davies, Upamecano, and Hiroki Ito were all sidelined, while captain Manuel Neuer, still unfit to play, was seen supporting his teammates from the stands. Thomas Müller started the match, marking his 163rd Champions League appearance, tying Lionel Messi. Bayern lined up in a 4-2-3-1, blending youth and experience. Upamecano, Kim Min-jae, and Mazraoui anchored the backline, with Kimmich and Goretzka pulling strings in midfield. Ahead of them, Olise, Müller, and Gnabry provided service to Harry Kane. Despite being unbeaten in 4 previous visits to the San Siro against Inter without conceding a single goal, this version of Bayern no longer carries the same fear factor. Still, the Bavarian spirit remains fierce. Before kickoff, when asked whether this might be his final Champions League campaign, Thomas Müller responded with trademark defiance, "No way." Meanwhile, former Bayern man Benjamin Pavard, now wearing Inter colors, offered a more cautious take. The first leg was big, but it's only halfway. Bayern know how to handle pressure. They've won it all before. They'll come out attacking. It's still 50-50. With Inter riding high and Bayern all in on redemption, a blockbuster night was on the cards, and the action delivered right from the first whistle. Referee Slavko Vincic got things underway, and the tempo was electric from the get-go. Bayern pushed high and created early danger. In the 3rd minute, Michael Olise got on the end of a pinpoint cross with a close-range header that sailed just over the bar. Moments later, he had another go, this time a low drive, that Inter's defense managed to smother. In the 24th minute, Inter mounted a rare first-half attack, as Di Marco broke free down the left and surged forward on the counter. With Thuram racing into the box, Di Marco opted to cut the ball back to the edge of the area instead, a decision that cost them a promising opportunity. The biggest scare of the half came in the 36th minute. Leroy Sané beat his man to the byline and fired a low cross into the danger zone. Müller arrived to meet it, but his effort was blocked at the last second by a brilliant intervention from Darmian. Moments later, Sané had 2 back-to-back shots. The first parried brilliantly by Sommer, the second directed toward the far post, but again denied by the Swiss keeper's incredible reflexes. Bayern kept the pressure coming. Sane unleashed a thunderous volley from outside the box after a loose ball fell his way, but once again, Sommer came out on top. Inter were forced to defend deep, with their blue and backline putting bodies on the line to fend off wave after wave of Bayern attacks. In first half stoppage time, Eric Dier picked up the game's first yellow card for a blatant foul. Referee Vincic didn't hesitate to pull out the card. After 3 added minutes, the half ended scoreless, Bayern dominating the ball and chances, while Inter stayed compact and preserved their slim aggregate lead heading into the break. The second half kicked off with tension crackling in the Milan air, and it didn't take long for the drama to escalate. Inter had the edge with their 2-1 aggregate lead, but one slip could change everything. And that moment came sooner than they expected. In the 52nd minute, Bayern Munich landed the first blow of the second half, and it came from what looked like a harmless play. A cross from the right side was only partially cleared by the Inter defense, and the ball fell straight to Harry Kane. Federico Di Marco was late to close him down, and the English striker took a single touch to control before calmly drilling a low shot through the legs of an Inter defender and into the bottom left corner. Sommer had no chance. Bayern opened the scoring, leveling the aggregate at 2-2. A stunned silence swept through the San Siro. Riding the momentum, Bayern came charging again down the right. Michael Olise accelerated and whipped in a dangerous ball across the middle. It split the Inter defense and found Müller in space, about 15 yards from goal. The German forward struck it with confidence, but his shot sailed just over the bar. Inter looked shaken after conceding, but the blue and black never stay quiet for long. In the 58th minute, Inter earned a corner on the left. Di Marco delivered and the ball dropped perfectly into Lautaro Martinez's path. His header caused chaos in the Bayern backline. Kim Min-jae tried to clear it but failed to get it away cleanly. The ball landed right back at Lautaro's feet, and the Argentine didn't hesitate, unleashing a thunderous strike into the top corner. Inter retook the aggregate lead at 3-2, and the San Siro erupted. But Inter weren't done. Just 4 minutes later, they struck again. From a corner on the right, former Bayern man Benjamin Pavard rose high above Kim Min-jae and powered a bullet header straight into the center of the goal. Sommer had no time to react. Inter now led 2-1 on the night, 4-2 on aggregate. The tables had turned in dramatic fashion and Bayern looked shell-shocked. Still, the visitors weren't ready to throw in the towel. Coach Vincent Kompany's changes began to take effect. After coming on, Tell and Brian Zaragoza injected new energy down the right wing. In the 75th minute, Olise controlled the ball cleanly and fired a dangerous shot toward the far post, but an Inter defender hustled back and made a crucial block right on the goal line. Bayern earned another corner. Just a minute later, Bayern brought the tie back to life. Joshua Kimmich delivered a perfect cross to the far post, where Eric Dier broke free of his marker. From a tight angle, the English center-back rose and headed the ball over Sommer and into the net, leaving the Inter defense stunned. It was 2-2 on the night, 4-3 on aggregate. Bayern needed just one more to force extra time. From here, the tension hit its peak in a heart-pounding finale. Simone Inzaghi responded with a series of defensive substitutions. Di Marco made way for Carlos Augusto. Lautaro Martinez was replaced by Mehdi Taremi. Barella and Mkhitaryan came off, with Davide Fratesi and Jan Bisek entering the fray to reinforce the midfield and shield the backline. But even with fresh legs, Inter were under siege. In the first minute of stoppage time, Serge Gnabry exploded down the flank, beating 2 defenders before firing a low cross into the box. The ball deflected off an Inter player, causing a chaotic scramble in front of goal. Kane found himself with the ball at his feet less than 10 yards out, but his shot flew over the bar. A golden chance, gone. And Bayern weren't done yet. Just 4 minutes later, Matthijs de Ligt rose for a point-blank header. It was well placed, but Sommer had read it perfectly and made the catch. Then, with seconds remaining, the ball was cleared straight to Kingsley Coman at the edge of the box. The Frenchman unleashed a powerful volley that had fans holding their breath, but it flew just over the crossbar. The final whistle blew. Referee Slavko Vincic checked his watch and called an end to 97 minutes of pure tension. Inter Milan, after surviving Bayern's late barrage, booked their place in the Champions League semi-finals with a 4-3 aggregate win. The loss means Bayern Munich will watch the rest of the tournament from home and watch the final being played at their own stadium, the Allianz Arena. Even more bittersweet, it marked Thomas Müller's final Champions League appearance in a Bayern shirt. Emotion was written all over his face. "We're heartbroken," Müller admitted. "I gave it everything I had. We all did. Inter are the best team in Italy right now. Before tonight, they had only conceded 2 goals in the Champions League. People can talk about set pieces, but the truth is, we fought until the very last second." For Inter, this was another statement of their remarkable resurgence. They're leading the Serie A race, they have the Coppa Italia semi-final second leg ahead, and now they're back in the Champions League semi-finals. It's been 15 years since they last chased a treble. Fittingly, that number also matches their current unbeaten home streak in the Champions League, the longest of any team right now. Up next, a monumental semi-final clash against Barcelona, and a chance to reach the Champions League final for the second time in 3 seasons.